Welcome to Aspire to Retire. I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. I'm here with Ralph and Tim Short, along with Scott Earhart, all from Welcome Home Financial Partners. Good to be with you guys here again today.
Good seeing you again.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Yes, on today's show, we're going to discuss the retirement pillars for a successful retirement. Most people know to save, but where to save and what other action should you take now to live the golden years of your dreams? We all hear about the golden years and saving for that, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
Well, what I would say is you need to understand that retirement planning, you have to have a solid foundation to do the things that you want to do in retirement. And what I mean by that is you need to have a good tax plan. You need to have some type of investment plan. And most people have one of those two right there, but you also need to think about health care because guess what? As we get older, just take a look at these guys. They're probably going to have some issues later on in life. Okay?
You just threw them under the bus.
So you need some health care plans in place, whether it's long-term care or whatever. Also, estate planning. Where do you want your money to go to after you're no longer here or after you and your wife are passed on? Because do you want it to go to the government? Did you work so hard all your life just to pass it on to the government?
No.
So you need to figure that out. The other thing, and most important in my opinion, is having an income plan.
Okay.
Because number one, if you don't have an income plan, are you going to be able to pay those bills that you are going to have to pay in your retirement years and do the things that you want to do, regardless of what it is?
You just threw a lot at us here. Are those the retirement planning pillars that you just went through?
That is correct.
That's a lot of pillars.
But that's the foundation to start your retirement plan. Would you all agree?
Absolutely. Tell us more.
Okay.
So,
yes. Oh, yeah, there's more.
Well, no, those are just the basic topics that we can discuss, and you can get down more into details with it by coming in and talking to us because we do actually talk about each of those things when we sit down with people talking our roadmap.
Yeah, because those are a lot of pillars there. And when you just hear them, boom, 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 it makes you go, okay, this is why I need a professional to talk with about this because there's a lot to think about. And it's so important, too, to start saving early for retirement. Why is that? Why do you say now is the time to start saving?
It's never too late and it's never too early.
Okay.
Because if you want to have that big $1 million goal at age 65, it takes a lot less when you start at age 22 or 25 than it is at 55. So I would say to anybody, they need to start as early as they can and do as much as they can. Most people don't want to save money because they think they can't afford to do things like that. But if you start small and then if you have a bonus, lucky enough to get a bonus at work or a pay increase, just take that money and put it in your retirement plan.
Or maybe
you'll be surprised.
The cup of coffee that you get every day. Maybe
what, that $7 cup of coffee?
You know, I just bought one of those yesterday.
Right.
And that's expensive. So if you get your cup of coffee, maybe you get the little black coffee and you have it at work instead. It might not be as fancy as some of the other places, but that's a good place to start. Because I know a lot of us live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, a lot of people do live paycheck to paycheck. And you always hear that, well, tomorrow's never promised or guaranteed.
Yes, true.
And that's true. But a lot of us, we're supposed to be living longer, regardless of what Ralph's saying that our issues will be down the line. But if you save a little bit, you get a pay raise, maybe you throw a little bit more into it. But it is cheaper for you to invest and create that big accumulation pot that everybody desires the earlier you start, right? But you've got to take a look at it realistically and take a look at a cash flow analysis like we talk about all the time is, hey, if you're making X amount of money, here's your expenses. What's happening to the rest of the money, right? So accumulation is going to be one of the biggest points of your retirement, but that's not the only piece of retirement.
And, you know, for everybody that's watching, don't turn off the TV if you're a little bit later in life and you haven't started. We can certainly help you get on track or show you where you're at to achieve your goals. Even if it's best to start early, but even if you didn't, it's still important to have that retirement conversation, have that roadmap, visualize what you need to do to achieve the retirement you want to have.
But I would also say your cash flow is going to change a little bit as the kids get older and probably out of the house. So now you, instead of having a $7,000 a month monthly bill because the kids are there, now it might be only $2,500. So what are you going to do with the rest of it? So now you can start chunking that in towards your retirement plan.
Yeah, unless the kids come back home.
Yeah, that's something that we don't really like to talk
He doesn't want to talk about that.
We know what happens.
No, we do.
Yes,
We do.
that's-
But
yeah.
even if that happens, you need to have limits on what they can contribute to that
Absolutely.
situation so you don't take care of them for the rest of their life.
Right. Because that gets really tough too. And it's also a question, how do you know how much to save for retirement? Because you might think, oh, I need this month or this much rather. And then next year you think, oh, actually, I need this. And then there's Social Security that you may or may not be able to count on, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people chase that magic number, right? It used to be $1 million,
Yeah.
and now $1 million doesn't go very far.
Oh, great.
But it depends on your lifestyle, right? And that's what retirement's all about. It's about income. It's not about this big pot of money, right? So that's what you got to focus in on. Hey, I know this is what my budget is. I'm in my mid-50s. I'd love to retire at age 60. What does that look like? Well, based off what you've done, this is what you can take a look at. Everybody is always so worried about stuffing money away, which is great, but that's not the end all be all with retirement.
That's climbing the mountain. Now, how do you get off the mountain once you get to that point in
I
your
guess
life?
you don't jump, do you?
Well, most people shouldn't.
You shouldn't jump off like that, but you got to seek that advice from the professional, right? So there's a lot of people that if they started working, there's a lot of people around Virginia that are just in one particular employer for the rest of their life, right? So if you started at 20 working at XYZ plant and you picked these different funds in your 401k, most people, when they hit 60, they are still in the same funds, right? So this isn't always, you've got to take a look at it more frequent than just, hey, I'm just going to pile money in here and then, 55, 60 years old, then we'll take another look at it, because you could be a lot more efficient than that.
Right. And let's say somebody turned on the TV and they're watching for the first time and they're going, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. What is the first step in starting a retirement savings plan?
Know your numbers. And what I mean by that, do you have a budget? How many people have never taken a look at what their income is and what their expenses are?
Eesh.
The only way that we can help them do the things that they need to do is to have that number. So we are not magicians. We are not people that can say, pull things out of the
You're
air.
not?
We need to know what you're doing so we can help you get where you want to go.
Okay, that's where you start. We're going to talk more about this coming up. We have to take a brief break, but before we do so, Tim, tell us about the special offer.
Thanks, Cheryl. So the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd like to personally invite you into the office where we will create your very own retirement roadmap. And the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
All right, good stuff. As we said, we're going to open up those phone lines. If you'd like some personal advice about retirement planning or to schedule an appointment, like Tim said, call 833-897-4845 or simply scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen. Coming up next, we will discuss more tools and techniques for your retirement and the importance of being protected and having growth and more. So stay with us.
Imagine the future you've been wanting all along. A world where your retirement income is covered and you don't have to worry. Your financial assets are protected, and you have an experienced team fighting every day to grow your assets. Imagine a company creating tax strategies and legacy plans to make sure your loved ones are protected no matter what happens. At Welcome Home Financial Partners, we're an experienced financial team with the right professional licenses and an unbreakable commitment to making our clients feel like family. Here you'll find determined, friendly faces in a world filled with obstacles and problems. We help plan your retirement income to ensure you won't run out of money in retirement. We build in protection to make sure your assets are covered on all sides. We focus on growing your wealth to combat inflation and rising cost of living. And we design tax strategies to help you avoid paying back what you shouldn't while protecting the people you love. Our team never stops fighting for you. With an unparalleled work ethic, we work hard because we know your future depends on it. We're proud to help you choose the life you want to live in retirement. Welcome to your financial future. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. If you have a retirement plan or maybe you are just starting, you are in the right place. And right now we're talking about breaking down the different types of retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs and Roth IRAs. There's a lot to talk about. So guys, break those down for us.
So, as you said, Cheryl, there's a lot of different types of retirement plans out there and available to individuals that are saving for retirement. Most commonly, what we're going to see are going to be 401ks, 403bs, something that's employer sponsored. So, you work for your employer, they give you a contribution or a match to your dollars, and your dollars grow. But we also have traditional IRAs, which are things that we can put into as individuals. You've got Roth IRAs, which are available. Of course, you've got your own brokerage accounts or investment accounts, savings accounts. There's all sorts of different plans and products out there available for you to save for retirement.
But you also have, if you work for the government, you're probably going to have a TSP, a 457, things of that. I mean, all that is just a tax code, and everyone is qualified based on who you work for. So those numbers are nothing but a tax code.
Right.
How do you know whether to put some here and here? Some people leave everything in their work 401k. Should they do that or not?
Well, that's the important thing is that, we can sit here and talk about 401ks, 403bs, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody focuses in on, right? It's good because if you're going to have a match, the company will match you some money. But the issue with a 401k or an employer-sponsored plan is that you only have a list of these investments that you can use, different funds, whatever it is, to where you have kind of less control of it, right? So if you want to take money and put it somewhere and you want to pick and choose an investment, then you can do something in a Roth IRA or traditional IRA or whatever it is. But don't just solely focus in on that employer-sponsored plan. You've got other opportunities out there.
And for anybody that is focused on that employer-sponsored plan, I know we've all met them that have said, hey, I worked for company XYZ. They did a great job of helping me accumulate wealth. They didn't do a great job. You did a great job of accumulating wealth. That is your dollar. When you are done working with that company, it's time for you to take it out, to take control, as Tim said, of your funds, roll it into an IRA. You can do that without being taxed if you do a direct rollover of it, and get control of your money, get it in a position where it can be invested how you want it, not just in a certain segment that's provided to you by an employer.
Okay. I want to go back a second to the 401k, and you said the employer matching. How does employer matching programs, how does that work, and why are they valuable? Because I know some match, some don't, some go up to a certain percentage. Everybody's different.
Now, what I would say to you, Cheryl, I'm going to ask you this question. Have you ever given up free money? If there was $100 a week raise right here on the table, what would you do?
I would take it.
Okay, well, that's what we're talking about, because if they match your program, if you put money into it, if you put in 100, they put in 100, guess what? You got $200 that you didn't have to put but $100 in.
Sometimes, though, let's say I can't afford to put in 6% of my paycheck, and then if they're going to match up to 6% and I don't do that, then I'm losing that money that was free money.
What I would say to you is you do what you can afford to, because if you don't, then you're not going to get whatever it is. Maybe you can only put in 2%. Well, they'll put in 2%. It's still matching program. You're still going to get free money.
Okay. But I guess you got to try to put in as much as you can if they're going to match up to that amount.
That is correct.
Yeah, and there's always a difference between needs and wants. A lot of people can afford to put in 6%, but they just don't simply want to. One, because, hey, I have to wait till a certain age before I can touch this, or I can't touch this while I'm working. Why am I going to put it all into this? So you need to look at it realistically and practically of, not everybody wants to be cash strapped or living paycheck to paycheck, but why give up that extra free money?
Mm-hmm.
But that $8 cup of coffee 5 days a week, that's $40 a week plus. Okay, that's $160. That's $2,000 a year.
Oh my gosh.
That you could be saving.
You know how much you just burst a lot of bubbles there with the fancy coffee.
That's the truth.
I know.
We live in the real world.
I know.
Not the fantasy world.
I know. Okay. Well, sometimes I am in my little fantasy world. But so investments, we're talking about all different types. How do they play a role in building that retirement fund?
So as you're working, right, you've got the investments, whether it's in your employer-sponsored plan or you do something on the outside, maybe have a professional manage that money as well. That's going to create this wealth. But everybody thinks, hey, let me try to build up to $1 million. Let me try to build up to $2 million. That's not what retirement's all about. Yes, you do need that pot of money to create your retirement income, but that's not everything. Especially as you get into retirement, you've got to focus in on the income aspect of it and not generating and building that big pot of money.
It's so hard to focus on. And how do you choose the right investments for your retirement, though?
It takes a lot of skill in order to do that. I mean, you can go with your employer. They usually have target dated funds, things like that. But the biggest issue I think a lot of people need to understand is it's very emotional
Yeah.
for most people. And that's the problem. You need to take emotion out of when you start selecting investments, okay? The thing that I'll tell people is this. Over the past 20 years, the S&P's done about 7.5%. Guess what the average investor's done?
What?
1.9. So what's the difference? Still invested in the same kind of information that we have. Is called emotion. They do exactly opposite what they should be. When the market is high, they buy. And when they get slow, they sell because they get scared. So that's the biggest thing to take away as far as I'm concerned.
What are you supposed to do? Put on blinders and not pay attention?
Well, it depends on the age and stage that you're in, right? So if you're in retirement or you're heading towards retirement, the retirement red zone we talk about so much, you've got to throttle back on your risk. So it's not, oh, hey, my fund just lost 50%. I'm just going to sit here and ride the roller coaster.
No.
You don't need to do that. And it always goes back to each individual is going to have a different situation, but they're also in a different stage of their life, right? So when you're in your 20s, you almost kind of have to have blinders on. But where do you go to for that information, right? So everybody's going to be different. Everybody's goals are different, but you need to focus in on what you can control and not be emotional, even though that's a hard ask for a lot of people.
It is. It's really tough to see yourself lose money and not get upset about it. But I guess that's why you talk about having diverse sources of retirement income, right? For saving different pots of money, as you'll say.
Absolutely. It's incredibly important to have a diverse portfolio of monies in retirement. So you can judge where to take that money from, how much you want to pay in taxation, when you want to pay that taxation, so you can keep the most of what you've earned and you can live the lifestyle that you want to. I mean, Tim says this all the time. You didn't retire to sit at home and watch Netflix all day. You want to do things. It's about lifestyle. How can we fund that lifestyle? And how can we do it in the most tax efficient way possible?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with watching Netflix, by the way. I will add that because there is a lot of entertainment value in that too. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. Just not all you want to do.
No, just not all the time. And one more question before we go to break. What about inflation? How does that affect retirement savings?
Well, what I'm going to say to you is if it takes you $5,000 a month to live today and you're in retirement at 3% inflation, 20 years from now, guess what? That same lifestyle is going to cost you $10,000.
Oh, lovely.
So be prepared. Inflation does have an effect on it, but you need to understand you have to get to where you need to go by having a plan.
But inflation's not the end all be all, right? Recently, everybody talks about inflation. Oh my God, this, that, whatever the case may be. You've got to make sure that you've got a holistic, comprehensive retirement plan.
All right. I think it's a great time for a break. Our special offer, Tim.
All right. Thanks, Cheryl. So the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love to personally invite you in the office where we'll sit down with you one-on-one and create your very own retirement roadmap. The best part is we do it on a complimentary basis.
All right. Keep those questions coming. We're going to open up those phone lines. Take advantage of our professionals. Once again, 833-897-4845. Coming up next, we will feature some of your burning questions.
It was the longest-running bull market in history. Everything was looking up. While inverted yield curves pointed to a recession, the market kept going. And then, if you're planning to retire soon, that could spell bad news for your returns. Our team can help you better withstand the bear market. Now more than ever, you need a financial professional to stand with you. Visit our website to learn more about our services. You can call or email our office to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. We are back with our financial professionals, and it is our favorite part of the show. Time to feature some of your questions. We're going to start with Kyle in Midlothian. Kyle says, I am approaching retirement and want to leave a legacy for my grandchildren. Can you give me some tips on how to do this?
Oh, we'd love to give Kyle some tips on how to do that. But first and foremost, we need to sit down with Kyle and take a look at where you're at in life. What does your life look like? What does your income look like? Where are your assets at? And now that's in order to give you a real specific question. But to drill down on it for TV here, we could help you with life insurance, help you with some tax deferred products that could increase what's your legacy that you're going to leave to your children, your grandchildren. I mean, I know Ralph doesn't want to leave any money to his children. He wants it all to go to his grandchildren.
Just skip the generation.
Yeah, and we've talked about it in previous shows that if you want to leave a legacy to your kids or grandkids and you want to give them an IRA once you pass away, there's going to be limitations as far as what they can do or how long they can have it. So that's kind of going back to, Kyle, give us a call. We'll get you in. Maybe life insurance would be the best tool to use. Maybe it would be doing some other tax-deferred vehicles, but we'd love the opportunity to speak.
All right. Regina from Glen Allen says, I work for a big company here in Richmond, but I do not receive help from them when it comes to my 401k. Is there a way to maximize savings in another vehicle?
There always is ways to save more money. So that's what you need to do is find somebody that you trust and can sit down with and explain what you're trying to do so they can give you advice tailored just for you. That's what we specialize in when it comes to talking to people.
And I tell her that, if you're expecting deep investment advice from your 401k or your company, you're looking in the wrong place. They're simply providing you a tool. You need to work with financial professionals that can help you understand what that tool can do, how it's supposed to work, and how you can maximize it.
And the other thing I would say to most people, when it comes to retirement, guess what? They're going to give you your 401k paperwork when you leave, and they're going to say, now what do you want to do with it? They're not going to make any suggestions to you. Pensions, same situation. How many times do you retire? Once.
Well, hopefully once.
So what do you know about retiring? It's a process.
Yeah.
And that's why you talk to people like us that we do this for hundreds of people a year.
Goodness, yeah. You guys certainly know what you're doing there. Marianne in Chesterfield says, how does healthcare planning fit into my retirement? That's a great question.
Well, guess what? The older that we get, probably the more problems we may face. It's kind of like a car.
Oh.
If it's 10 years or older, you're probably going to start having some breakdowns.
You've got a lot of miles, right?
Got a lot of miles. So you're going to have to understand there are going to be some expenses that you didn't have when you were 20 and 30 at age 65 and 70. So,
yeah, and I think a lot of folks now, they kind of desire to retire before 60, right? So if you're before 65, where Medicare age is, that's very important to think about because there's a lot of companies now that won't give you any kind of benefit once you retire, no matter what your age is. So if you retire at 55, you're responsible for your health care from 55 to 65. So I don't know if anybody knows, but health care insurance has gotten pretty expensive as of late. So, if you're going to spend anywhere between $1,000 or $2,000 a month for your health care, you've got to make sure that's in your plan.
My goodness. And you always should have health care. I mean, I've seen people go without it, and that's so scary because that's normally when something unexpected happens, and you've got to be prepared for that.
That's what insurance is for.
Yeah, definitely. Tyrone in Bon Air says, I'm a little nervous about my upcoming retirement. I have done well, but I'm afraid that I have not planned properly. And my current advisor does not talk about the topics that are on your show. What advice do you have for me?
Tyrone, my advice would be give us a call. You scan the QR code, give us a call. Let's sit down. We'll give you a second opinion. There's never any pressure when you come into our office to do business with us. We're going to show you what you have. We're going to tell you what we think about the position you're in. And if you allow us, we'll make suggestions on how well we may be able to better your position. And that's it. But if your advisor is not talking to you about these practical things, these stages of life that you're going to have as you enter into retirement, you need to get a second opinion from somebody that will.
Right. And that's very important. If you're having doubts, that means there's probably some things you need to change.
Yeah. You always go with your gut feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that, then give these guys a call. Next is Bob from Henrico. Bob says, what is the significance of debt management in retirement planning?
It's according to what kind of debt that you have, is the way I would say. If you have a lot of credit card debt, it's not a good sign.
Oh.
All right. And Bob, you need to understand debt is a major factor in people not being able to afford the lifestyle that they want. But you have good debts such as mortgage and stuff like that. And there's no right or wrong answer whether you need to have a mortgage in retirement. The main question is, do you have the income to pay that mortgage payment? The real problem. So that's where we start talking to people about income planning, things of that nature. The other thing I would say is, today, a lot of people that we see, they have credit card debt that's exorbitant, but also college debt. not for themselves, but for their kids.
Ooh.
When you have somebody comes in and say, I've got some college debt to worry about, and I said, okay, well, how much you're talking about? And 60-some years old, $400,000 in college debt. And I'm like,
my.
Your debt? And they say, no, it's for my kids because I co-signed. So that is an issue that we have to address to have a successful retirement.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps
but it
because
happens.
college tuition has gone up so much.
Mm-hmm.
And to just all of a sudden add all that on top of, oh boy, okay. Wow, that's a good one right there. Mary from Midlothian says, how do I combat inflation? I want to make sure I'm able to maintain my lifestyle and my buying power throughout my retirement. I agree with you, Mary.
Well, what I'd say to Mary is you need to be working with a financial professional that can make sure your portfolio is aligned with your risk tolerances and it's utilizing different solutions that can keep with or outpace inflation. It's just sitting it and forgetting it is not what you need to do. Stuffing it in a savings account, stuffing it into some type of banking product probably won't help you outpace inflation.
All right. I think that's a good place to wrap up here. We are about out of time. Our special offer one more time, Tim.
All right. So the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you one-on-one in the office and create your very own retirement roadmap. And the best part is we do it on a complimentary basis.
All right. Thanks again for joining us on Aspire to Retire. Next time, we will discuss ways to have a robust retirement. You will not want to miss it. If you'd like some advice, once again, give us a call, 833-897-4845, or scan that QR code, and you could be featured on our next episode. Don't forget the podcast is available as well. On behalf of all of us at Aspire to Retire, I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. Have a great day.